Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the 5 things that I learned in our first month of using cloth or reusable nappies. Hello, my name is Grace, and if you're new to my channel then I am a first time mummy to a almost 9-month-old little boy, and before I had children or before I got pregnant it was always my intention to one day try and use cloth nappies. That was before I had a little boy with a very explosive bottom, and before I sort of realised how messy babies' nappies could be. It's taken me 8 months to finally be brave and start using reusable nappies. So this video is going to be all about the 5 lessons that I've learned and just some 5 things that we've picked up along the way trying out reusable nappies. The first thing that I learnt was to not leave the nappies unwashed for longer than 24 hours. So basically we started using the cloth nappies with Elliot, my little boy. I think it was on a Sunday and it was like midday, and he'd had a nap in the morning and we'd put him in a normal disposable nappy, and then after that we thought, right, we'll have a go at the cloth nappies today. Me and my husband were both home, and it's quite good to try it out for the first time when you've got a spare pair of hands to help you out, I think. So we started using these cloth nappies on the Sunday afternoon, and we had a little bit of a bad experience because typically our little boy did a really messy poo. I can confirm that Elliot had done a poo in his cloth nappy, and it was probably the most poo that I think I've seen him ever do, which is just typical, isn't it? The first time you're changing a reusable nappy. There was a lot. Like the first time that we ever use a cloth nappy, I was thinking, oh good, if he just does like a wee in the first time that we use it, that'd be really good for us just to practice. But no, he did the messiest bottom. So after that we were just a little bit like, I think we put him back in a cloth nappy after we'd like cleared it all up. But then the next day we just went back to using disposable nappies, which I'll talk about at the end of this video as well. And then I think I'd left his nappies for a couple of days unwashed because I think there was only like 2 that he'd worn, and I've got about 6 altogether at the minute, so I'm just starting up a small collection of them, and I thought I'm not going to just run a wash through just for 2 nappies. But do not leave cloth nappies for longer than 24 hours, I would say, without washing them, because the smell really sets in, which is obviously something when you're new to cloth nappies you don't know about these things. Obviously there's a lot of wee that is soaked up into them, and I think because I left it a couple of days before I then went back to putting cloth nappies on him, and I thought I'll wash them all together, as I said, rather than just do like 2 at a time in the washing machine, because that seems a bit like, doesn't seem very economically friendly doing that either. But the smell had really set in these nappies, and after I washed all of them for the first time, there were a couple of nappies that I could tell were the ones that I'd left for longer than 24 hours, and the smell, there was just like a sort of, my husband walked in the room and he was like, there's a bit of a like tinkly smell, like wee, like it just smelled a little bit not fresh. So I had to then run them all through the wash again. So that would be the first thing that I would advise anyone if you're going to try them out. Don't leave them in a basket unwashed for longer than 24 hours because you're probably going to make more washing for yourself in the long run. Another thing that I have learned in our first month of using cloth nappies is to go Velcro to begin with. There's 2 types of nappies, Velcro and popper nappies, and basically I just think as a beginner the Velcro nappies are a much easier transition because they're a little bit, they're more similar to what you've been used to with a disposable nappy, whereas the popper ones, there's lots of little holes to put the poppers in and it's a bit more fiddly, and when you're new to it I would just think that the Velcro ones are the easier sort of adjustment. Once you've been doing them for a little while I think the poppers will be fine, but me and my husband did find the poppers a little bit harder to get used to, whereas the Velcro ones are so much simpler to start off with. So we have been using a company called Littles and Blooms, so I just thought I would show you. So that is what the Velcro nappies look like, and obviously it's basically very similar to the way you would put on a disposable nappy, in the fact that there's a big Velcro strip on the front, and then you can just like pop the other bit of Velcro on wherever you need to, and it is so much less fiddly than a popper nappy, which, as you can see, I got both because I didn't know what I was going to like. I don't mind the popper ones, but Velcro is a lot easier, so I'm not sure if this is picking up, but there are so many different poppers, and then there's like quite a few different poppers that you've got to learn how to use on the front and the back. So the poppers on the front are to make the nappies shorter. Well, you get poppers on all the like nappies, but some are popper adjustment and some are Velcro. So go for Velcro to begin with, I would say, because it's just an easier transition from disposables to reusables. My third tip, or my third thing that I learnt in our cloth nappy journey, is to get a system ready in place. Again, so the first day that we started out with cloth nappies, didn't really have a system. We just thought, right, we'll try it. But that's after we had that messy bottom from Elliot, I was like, we really need a system, a good system in place. Now everyone is going to have their own kind of way of doing nappy changing, stuff like that. I'm not sure if you can tell behind me, but we do have like a changing table. But now that my son is on the move a little bit more, we do sometimes do his nappy changing on the floor too. So like I say, everyone's going to have really different ways of doing their own thing, but you will know a system that works for you, and you need to get a kind of new system in place for reusable nappies. So what I mean by that is you need to get your bin ready and accessible, and if you've got a bit of a fiddly bin, I would suggest maybe just getting one that you can literally like put your hand in, you haven't got to like step on anything, really easy to access your bin near your nappy changing unit, and then a washing basket or laundry basket which is just for your cloth nappies, because you want these things right at your side when you're changing your baby's reusable nappy, because it's just going to make it so much easier when you're new in this kind of journey of reusable nappies. So I bought a brand new like laundry basket which is at the side of the changing unit here. Literally just lift the lid up, chuck the nappy in there, out the way. I've got the bin for any of the, because I've been using the disposable liners. I'm not going to talk too much about what's what because there's loads of videos explaining what you need. So yeah, get a really good system in place. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to transition into reusable nappies. It just boils down to being as prepared as you can, because there are some different things with using cloth nappies that you're going to have to get used to. So if you're as prepared as possible, it does make it a lot easier for you. The fourth thing that I learned is to change the reusable nappies fairly frequently. Just keep a mindful note to yourself of how long your baby's maybe been in that nappy, because in the first couple of weeks there are going to be like some sort of leaks and stuff like that. Because you're just new to this whole sort of experience, it's worth noting to change the nappy a little bit more often than you maybe would the disposable ones, because disposable ones they can be in them for hours and hours, can't they, and you sort of forget about it and then you think, oh gosh, that looks a bit heavy, that nappy. But don't let it get to that stage when you're new with them. Just change them quite often, because we did find that there was a bit of a leak a couple of times, like it'd gone through to Elliot's bodysuit, so you don't want them to be damp and uncomfortable. And it just helps you as well gauge how long these reusable nappies are going to last, and different brands are going to probably last, you know, they're going to be a little bit more durable in the sense of like leaks and stuff. Obviously I've only tried one brand at the moment, so I can't really comment on how long to keep the baby in the nappy for, but we were just sort of changing it after maybe 2.5 hours just to keep it fresh. And my fifth and final tip is to not feel like you've got to make the switch to cloth nappies like overnight. After our bit of a like shocking experience with Elliot's messy bottom in his cloth nappy for the first time, I'm not gonna lie, it did make me think, oh my god, are we ready for this? And you know, we are doing disposable nappies overnight, and then during the day we've been trying to use the cloth nappies, and you know, there'll just be some days where you don't feel like going through it at the moment, because when you're new to it, it is a learning curve really. So don't feel like you've got to make the switch overnight. You haven't got to transition like that, because like I say, there is quite a lot to it. But I think once you've got a system in place and once you've learned all the lessons the hard way and stuff, you'll be fine. And it is definitely worth it. I've noticed, you know, that we are going through disposable nappies a lot less frequently, which is obviously our long-term aim. But don't feel like you've got to do it immediately. Just take your time, and you'll get more confident as it goes along. I think if you don't put the pressure on yourself to make the switch immediately, you will just get there eventually. And we're already a lot more confident with it, and we've got a good system in place, and I'm ready to maybe buy a couple of more nappies so that we can, you know, try this out for, you know, the foreseeable future. But I don't feel like I want to do reusable nappies completely just yet, but I think that is fine. Just making an effort to try it is good enough for me, I think. And yeah, that is basically the 5 things that I have learnt in our first month of using cloth nappies. I mean, a month is still a really short space of time, isn't it? I'm sure that I'm going to learn a lot more over time. So let me know if you enjoyed this video and if you've ever considered trying cloth nappies, or do you use cloth nappies? I would love to hear in the comment section down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, let me know and I will report back in a couple of months, let you know how we're getting on with our cloth nappy journey. But I thought this video would just be really useful for anyone who is thinking about trying it, and just some things that you might want to expect in your first month of trying cloth nappies. It's definitely a journey, but I'm really glad that I've finally done it. And I thought as well, like, the new year is such a perfect time to finally try and be a little bit more eco-friendly and do our bit. That was always my intention, to just do my bit, and that's all we can do, isn't it, basically? So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'd love it if you hit subscribe if you haven't already, because I make lots of similar content, motherhood and life in between. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.